Rich dad catches housekeeper torturing his adopted daughter while he was away. The mansion breathed in silence. A 14-bedroom colossus that stretched 3 stories toward heaven, wrapped in golden light that seemed to mock the darkness festering within. Every surface gleamed with the kind of perfection that money could buy. Marble that reflected like still water, crystal sconces that cast rainbows on velvet-papered walls, curtains that whispered secrets to the manufactured breeze from hidden vents. But perfection, Jamal Henley would learn, was a beautiful lie. On the second floor, beyond the opulent hallway lined with oil paintings worth more than most people's homes, a child's scream pierced the air like broken glass. Not the theatrical wail of a tantrum, but something raw and desperate, the sound of a small soul in agony. The cry echoed through empty corridors where staff should have been bustling. No chef hummed in the kitchen, no groundskeeper tended the roses visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows, no tutor shuffled papers in the library. Even the personal assistant who typically haunted these halls with her ever-present tablet had vanished. Clara had seen to that. The head housekeeper had orchestrated this isolation with the precision of a conductor directing a symphony of cruelty. 23 years she had served this house, 23 years of watching wealthy families come and go, of biting her tongue and swallowing her resentment. She had told the staff that deep cleaning was required, that the family demanded privacy. Her word was law. Her keys opened every door, her authority unquestioned. But Clara didn't want silence for cleaning. She wanted power over the powerless. In the princess-themed bedroom that might have graced a fairy tale, 6-year-old Zuri perched on the edge of her velvet comforter like a bird with clipped wings. Her dark skin glistened with tears that fell steadily onto the white fur of her beloved stuffed bunny, a rabbit worn soft from countless nights of desperate clutching. Clara loomed over her, a storm cloud in crisp white cotton and navy wool. The housekeeper's face had twisted into something ugly, something that would have been unrecognizable to the employers who had trusted her with their most precious treasure. "You spoiled, ungrateful little thing," Clara's voice lashed out like a whip. "You don't talk back to me? You understand me?" Zuri's head shook frantically, her voice breaking. I didn't. I just wanted to call Daddy." "You don't get to speak unless spoken to." Clara's finger jabbed toward the child's chest like a weapon. "I've been running this house longer than you've been alive, girl. Don't you think your sad eyes scare me?" The little girl's legs dangled from the high bed, her toes barely grazing the plush carpet. She pulled her bunny closer, as if its softness could shield her from the venom pouring over her. In the bag was a hand-stitched rabbit, twin to the one Zuri carried everywhere, crafted by an artisan in a tiny Venetian shop. He had been thinking of her smile when he saw it, imagining her delight. But joy crystallized into horror as that sound reached him. Not a whimper or complaint, but a scream that spoke of terror and abandonment. The gift bag hit marble tile with a soft thud. His Italian leather shoes pounded against the spiral staircase, taking steps 3 at a time. Second floor. Left hallway. The door to Zuri's room gaped half open like a wound. And there it was, his daughter curled into herself on the bed, face streaked with tears and snot, eyes wide with fear. Clara knelt before her like some perverted penitent, finger extended in accusation, poison spilling from her lips into the face of a child who should have been playing with dolls. Jamal froze in the doorway, his breath catching in his chest like a trapped bird. For a heartbeat, the tableau held, predator and prey, oblivious to the avenging angel who had witnessed their crime. Then Clara turned her head slightly, and her face went the color of old ash. "Mr. Henley," she gasped, scrambling to her feet. "Sir, I didn't know you were back so soon." He said nothing, couldn't speak. His eyes moved from Clara's guilty face to his daughter, who had noticed him now. Relief flooded Zuri's features as she slid awkwardly from the bed, her small feet hitting the floor unsteadily. "Daddy." The word broke from her like a prayer answered. He stepped forward and caught her trembling body in his arms. She buried her face in his chest, and he felt her heart hammering against his ribs like a caged bird's wings. Only then did he look back at Clara. The room had grown cold, the golden light somehow dimmed. "What?" he said, his voice barely above a whisper but sharp as winter wind. "Did I just walk into?" Clara stammered, her confidence crumbling. "She's been difficult, sir." She was throwing things, screaming for no reason. I only raised my voice to calm her down. Zuri clung tighter, her words muffled against his suit jacket. I just wanted to call you. Something broke inside Jamal's chest, something that had been holding back a flood of rage and grief and self-recrimination. Who else is in the house? His voice remained deadly quiet. Clara blinked rapidly. Just me. I asked the others to leave so I could deep clean the upstairs wing. Convenient. Silence stretched between them like a noose. Then Jamal turned toward the hallway and pressed a button on the wall. His private security intercom crackled to life. Brent, he said with preternatural calm, come to Zuri's room. Bring another member of the staff with you. Clara will be leaving the premises immediately. Sir, Clara gasped, but he had already turned away, dismissing her existence as thoroughly as she had dismissed his daughter's humanity. Zuri gripped his lapel, still crying softly. He sat on the bed, holding her against his chest, whispering words meant only for her ears, apologies and promises and declarations of love that should never have been necessary. Later, the remaining staff would whisper about how they had seen the richest man in the city carrying his daughter past the golden stair railing with tears streaming down his face. But no one ever saw Clara inside that house again. As security escorted the former housekeeper away, Jamal realized with sickening clarity that he had built an empire strong enough to shelter thousands, but had left his own child vulnerable in her own bedroom. He didn't speak to Clara as she was led out, didn't shout or threaten or demand explanations. The look in his eyes said everything that needed saying, and she knew it. But after the door closed and the hallway emptied, the weight of what had transpired hit Jamal like a physical blow. Zuri sat on his lap, her head heavy on his shoulder, eyes red and puffy. She had grown quiet, not from peace, but from exhaustion, from a fear that had worn her small spirit thin. I'm so sorry, he whispered, his throat thick with unshed tears. I should have been here. I should have seen it. She didn't respond immediately, just clung to his shirt collar like a lifeline. He wiped her face gently with his handkerchief. You don't have to be scared anymore. You hear me? Finally, Zuri whispered. She said you wouldn't believe me if I told you, that you'd send me back. Jamal's chest constricted as if someone had reached inside and squeezed his heart. I would never send you away, he said, his voice breaking. You're my daughter, Zuri, no matter what. Her lips trembled. She said I didn't belong here. He closed his eyes, fighting back the burn of tears. You belong more than anyone, he managed. You belong because I chose you, because I love you. The next morning brought a reckoning. Jamal had been awake for hours when the staff returned, and he met with each of them personally. He didn't raise his voice or assign blame, but his message rang clear. Anyone who witnessed mistreatment and stayed silent would find employment elsewhere. 2 people resigned that day. 3 others wept as they apologized. But Jamal wasn't finished. He instituted new protocols. 2 adults assigned to Zuri at all times, background checks repeated annually, open-door policies that meant real transparency. He brought in Angela, a licensed therapist who specialized in trauma-based foster care, her references impeccable and her eyes kind. Most importantly, he changed himself. 2 business trips were canceled. Weekends were cleared. He began picking Zuri up from her afternoon classes personally, sometimes just to hold her hand as they walked through the garden. He didn't try to heal everything overnight. Healing, he learned, was a process that required presence more than presence. Weeks later, as he tucked Zuri into bed, Jamal could see the subtle changes. She laughed more readily now, asked questions without flinching, slept with the lights off. The stuffed bunny remained her constant companion, but terror no longer haunted her eyes. As he pulled the blanket up to her chin, she looked up at him with the solemnity that sometimes overtook children who had been forced to grow up too quickly. You're not going to leave again, right? He leaned down and kissed her forehead, tasting the faint sweetness of childhood that Clara had tried to poison. Not unless you come with me, he smiled. Deal? She nodded, satisfied. Just as he reached the door, her voice stopped him. Daddy? Yes, baby? Thank you for hearing me. His hand lingered on the light switch. Instead of turning it off, he walked back to her bedside and sat down again. I'll always hear you, he whispered, even when you don't speak. The house remained grand, Its gold walls still shimmered, its crystal still cast rainbows, its marble still reflected like water. But the most valuable thing inside wasn't the chandeliers or the hand-carved furniture anymore. It was a father who had finally understood what it meant to protect, not just by providing, but by being present, by listening. And a daughter who, after everything, finally believed she was home.